Let's talk about one of the biggest, most powerful objections to the idea of Christian universalism. The belief that God will ultimately save everyone. And funnily enough, this objection comes straight from the Old Testament.
For a lot of people, the Old Testament paints a very clear picture of judgment, of division, not universal grace. So the big question is, does it actually contradict the whole idea of universal salvation? We're going to take a closer look.
And this is really the heart of it. You get a verse like Psalm 1, verse 6, which says, "The way of the wicked leads to destruction." That seems pretty black and white, right? Two paths, two totally different destinies. You might think, okay, case closed.
Well, not so fast. Because if you keep reading through the Old Testament, a really surprising pattern starts to emerge. And it suggests that judgment, well, it's rarely the final word. To see what I mean, let's start with the most famous example of divine destruction you can think of, a city whose very name has become a synonym for final, irreversible judgment. Yep, you guessed it, I'm talking about Sodom.
We all know the story from Genesis, right? Total fiery annihilation. But then, centuries later, the prophet Ezekiel says something absolutely stunning. While he's rebuking Jerusalem, God makes this promise: "I will restore the fortunes of Sodom." Wait, what? A promise to restore the most famously wicked city imaginable? That forces us to ask a much bigger question.
So you have to wonder, is this promise to restore Sodom just a weird, isolated thing? A one-off anomaly? Or could it be a clue that points to a much larger, repeating pattern in how God actually operates?
Oh, it is absolutely a pattern. Over and over again, we see this cycle play out. A nation, it could be Egypt, Moab, heck, even Israel itself, disobeys God. God pronounces judgment. And then, often in the very next breath, God promises ultimate restoration. This rhythm, this beat of judgment followed by restoration, is a major, major theme.
And this is the crucial part. This recurring pattern, it kind of forces us to go all the way back to the beginning and reconsider the meaning of that one key word: destruction.
This leads us to two really different ways of looking at destruction. On one hand, you could see it as a final end, annihilation, permanent separation, game over. Or could it be a necessary process, a kind of purification, an unmaking in order to remake? In this second view, destruction isn't the opposite of salvation. It's actually a painful but necessary part of it.
Now, this doesn't mean we downplay sin or judgment. Not at all. This view takes them incredibly seriously. We can totally affirm that sin leads to complete and total destruction, just like what happened to Sodom. The key difference is the belief that God's power to restore is even greater than sin's power to destroy.
Okay, so what happens when we take this idea, this restorative lens, and apply it to the rest of the Old Testament? Do other verses start to pop in a new way?
All of a sudden, verses like this one from Psalm 145 just hit differently. The Lord is good to all, and His mercy is over all that He has made. When you're thinking about ultimate restoration, that word all becomes truly, radically all-encompassing.
Or think about this line from the Book of Lamentations. This was written during a time of immense suffering and national grief. It's about as dark as it gets, and even in that darkness, the prophet declares, "For the Lord will not cast off forever." The judgment, no matter how real and painful it is not the final word.
And we see it again, right here in the Psalms, this absolutely breathtaking, universal vision. It's not just Israel, it's all the ends of the earth and all the families of the nations who will eventually turn and worship God. This isn't some minor theme, it's a consistent hope that runs right through the text. So let's just quickly recap this whole trajectory we're seeing in the Old Testament. It shows us that yes, judgment is real and it's serious, but destruction is often a purifying process. It reveals a God who, as another verse says, devises plans so as not to keep an outcast banished forever. The pattern is crystal clear. Judgment is consistently followed by restoration because God's mercy is over all of creation.
So, to circle all the way back to our original question, no, the Old Testament absolutely does not ignore judgment and destruction. The initial objection is based on a very real, very important part of the story.
But it doesn't just stop there. Instead, it seems to frame these really difficult ideas within a much larger and, sometimes hidden story that always bends toward ultimate restoration.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. If we take this pattern seriously, this Old Testament rhythm of God consistently restoring what is judged and destroyed,
What might that imply about God's plan for the ultimate end of the story? That's definitely something to think about. Thanks for exploring this with me.